Howdy, y'all, and welcome back to Sacred Axis, a space for the whimsically divine. I'm Chesten.
I'm Christina.
All right. And so today, this episode is focusing on building a relationship with self. And it ended up being a little bit bigger than what I expected from this morning. And so it's funny that our previous episode was talking about listening to your intuition, because this morning my topics were going to be examples of how a person can kind of help themselves completing chores, completing goals that they have, just like around the house, basic needs, things like that, and incorporating like with their future self, their past self, and then also embracing good enough. But it didn't feel like that should have been the starting point for today's discussion. And so this morning I was finally inspired to talk about basic needs. Like, us humans have basic needs, and I think that it's really important for us to acknowledge that and embrace that. So like, I have needs, you have needs, anybody listening has needs. And it's a pretty good list of things that we need. It's not even wants, it's needs. And I'm going to refer to Maslow's hierarchy of needs with it. And I'm going to put some links in the comments because there's a bunch of different feelings about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is totally fair. Are you familiar with that at all, Christina?
Yeah, I am. Could I list them? No, but I know the name. So it
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
Okay. So, and what we'll do is, my plan is, we'll see how it goes, is that we'll talk about the needs first, outlining them, and how much we rely on our community to fulfill these needs just as much as we do individually, and then go into like ways that we can kind of motivate ourselves to kind of accomplish some of these things that we can do by ourselves, like, cleaning the house or the apartment, or, making a really basic meal, feeding ourselves, like things like that. And yeah, so that's the game plan, but we'll see how it goes.
All right. I'm excited.
All right. So a little bit of history about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So if you look up a picture of it, it looks like a pyramid, and that there's different layers to it. That the bottom layer is the psychological needs. The second layer would be safety and security, then love and belonging, then self-esteem, and then self-actualization, and they move upward. But what's interesting is that from what I found was that Maslow never really used the pyramid. It's supposed to be a visual shorthand for all the stuff that he talked about. And so just a really little piece of the history of Maslow's hierarchy of needs was, from my understanding, that Maslow may have never actually used the pyramid, that it was supposed to be just like a visualization type of thing. And another aspect that I found was that Maslow later on felt that transcendence was actually the most important part, and that he also viewed community as important. Like, it's really not just about the self, it's about the community too. And then he was inspired from it, from studying the Blackfoot people, also known as the Siksika Nation, but that some of his takeaways, like there are similarities with it, but like, there are researchers within the Blackfoot people that said that he didn't like steal it from them or appropriate it, but some people feel that way. So there is that whole aspect too. So just, wanting to acknowledge all of that with it, like to view Maslow's, instead of a hierarchy, I picture it as a circle. I didn't come up with that. I'm going to link an article from a gentleman named Dennis who talks about it too, about viewing these needs as a circle instead of it. But in my head, I picture it that we're in the center of that circle, and we have that circle of physiological needs, safety and security, love and belonging, self-esteem, and then self-actualization, but that it branches off to other people who also have their circles with all of those needs. And I think viewing it that way better is because each person has different needs at different times in their life that are going to be more important. And then also, too, different cultures have different views about what's more important in their culture compared to other pieces of it.
That
Does that
makes
make
sense.
sense?
Yeah, yeah, because 'cause I'm picturing, like, that pyramid, one culture, that bottom layer may not be that most important for their culture, so it's moved up 2 rings or 3.
Yep, yep. And so, like I said, and I didn't come up with this, and I'm sure many people are like, "Well, yeah, duh, I also view it as a circle instead," but that's how I picture it in my head, and that makes it way easier for me to comprehend it and be like, "Oh, okay, this does make sense." But I just wanna list off all the needs that we need because, like I said, I really think it's important that we are human, we do have needs. And so you have needs, and your needs are important and your needs should be met. And I think everybody should feel that way. Um, that it's okay to have needs. It's okay to expect certain things, expect our society and community to provide certain things because we need them in order to survive, and that we should build our communities and societies to provide these needs because we need these individuals to be able to survive, to continue to help our communities and societies flourish, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Are these expectations that is this a list of expectations, or are these just humans' needs? They're not really
Needs.
expectations. They're
No, they
2
are like
totally different.
needs. Well,
They are
so the reason I say expectations is because so for some of these, as I get into them, unfortunately, there are huge controversies and arguments about whether society should provide them. Like for one of them, for the safety and security level, talking about health. Well,
Mhm.
that means having access to healthcare, like people having access to doctors, to nurses, to physicians, and being able to afford it. Like, so that's a huge controversy. Like people are dying because they can't afford medications, and that should not be the case. So that's why I say, like, some people would argue, oh, that's just an expectation. And it's like, well, yeah, but that's a fair expectation to have because that is a necessity. Like, someone should not pass because they can't afford medications because the medications are too expensive and that they're in a place where their healthcare system sucks. So that's why it's like, it is both a need and an expectation, but it's an expectation that is completely important because it is a need, like it's a basic need in order to live.
And here's what just came to me is, and I can take this out later, but living in America,
Mhm.
we have resorted it to be an expectation because it's not just a thing that we should automatically have, kinda like what you were saying.
Yeah, almost that it's like
Other
yeah.
countries, it's not an expectation, it already is. You already have that healthcare. It's already
Well,
provided to you. Does that make sense? But in America, they want to say, "You can have it, but you can't. You can have it, but it's gonna cost you a lot of money."
yeah, they wanna capitalize on it, and I think
Yeah.
maybe do you feel like I think maybe a better word would be that it's that because I feel like an expectation, I think other countries, it is an expectation too, it's just that their expectation is being met. Their
Yeah,
needs are
it's
being met with it.
yeah.
Maybe that it's a privilege is maybe that because is privilege the word where it's like, "Oh, well," or it's a luxury, like, they're treating it almost like it's not a necessity. Let me look up what privilege
You
means
know,
before.
I wanna say it's the right to receive healthcare, and, I feel in America, it's not an
Yeah,
automatic right, where
exactly.
a majority
Yeah.
of the countries, it's an already automatic right. There was no
So I think the word instead of expectation that you were thinking of was privilege, because the definition of privilege is a special right, advantage, or immunity granted or available only to a particular person or group. So they're treating health like it's a privilege, like, oh, it's a privilege that you get this crappy insurance, to not cover medical costs instead of it being a basic human right. Because an expectation is that sometimes I have to look up words to make sure I get it right. But an expectation is a strong belief that something will happen. So I mean, I think it makes sense that we have these strong expectations, and it makes sense what you were saying then too, that other people already have it, so it's not an expectation, it is a right.
Mhm.
But that's why it's one of those, like, there are people that may view it as, "Oh, well, this part that you're talking about is a privilege, and it's like, no, these things are basic needs.
It's a
It shouldn't be
necessity.
treated. Yeah, it's a necessity. It should
Yeah.
not be treated as a privilege, and that's a problem.
What can I do to better humanity? That's the give. That's where humanity has
Right.
lost.
But the people who are expecting things, who are demanding things, who aren't in positions of power, they have every right to feel that way. You know what I mean? Like, they need to be selfish. They need to say, "But I need this. Like,
Mhm.
I need healthcare. I need to be taken care of, or otherwise I'm gonna pass, or I need my child's asthma medication to be filled, or they will pass." So
Some people don't wanna give away things if they're not gonna get something back, so it's a very selfish act.
well, it's that they already have the thing that they're not willing to give to others, and they're putting a price on it. Like, they're
Yeah,
putting a made up concept like money, because they
yeah,
already have healthcare. The ones who are withholding the healthcare, a lot of them have excellent healthcare, but they're refusing to make sure others have excellent healthcare too.
yeah.
So they already have the thing, but they want additional other stuff on top of it.
That if I don't get something,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna give you that if I don't
Yeah.
it's like that,
Yeah.
what can
But
I
they already
do?
have the thing. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
done with my tangent. Okay.
No, it's an important one because it's an important distinction. Because I think it is important to point out because, like, you'll have people who are shamed for their needs. So I think it is good to bring that up so
Yeah,
we can have this discussion with it because you have people who are taught not to need anything because, oh, that's how you become more spiritual. Don't have needs. No, we do have needs. The people that we're talking about are the ones that have those needs met and they're refusing to pass those needs on to to pass those things on to others too. Like we were talking about with the healthcare, you have people who have excellent healthcare in positions of power who are withdrawing healthcare from other people or restricting social healthcare from other people, even though they're benefiting from that stuff. So that's a whole different bracket. It's like a person who has plenty of food, like an excess of food, and they're refusing to help feed others. That's what we're talking about, not a
yeah,
person who has nothing and they're just trying to get by. So I think
yeah,
that's, yeah, like people in positions of power who are being really stingy. And
yeah.
then they try to, like, yeah, because it can get really, I feel like it's important to really, and so glad I listened to my intuition about this then.
Yeah,
Because, yeah, like we have needs. Every single one of us has needs, and we need to honor that. And as I list them off, it's a lot. Like, it's a lot of needs. And kind of if you go through your head and you're like, well, this isn't being met, this isn't being met, this isn't being met. Like, I put it that that goes to show how much community and society, wherever you're living at, is failing you. Like, I know we have individual responsibilities. I get that. But a lot of this stuff, it deals with how our communities and societies are set up too, whether it's even possible. So, whew, right? Ready.
I'm ready.
So I'm going to list off so we'll just take each layer and then I'll list off the points for each for that layer and then we'll just discuss, right?
Okay.
So for psychological needs, breathing, so that's air. More specifically, clean air,
Mhm.
food, so agricultural stuff, water, but also it's clean water.
And clean food.
Yes, clean food, food available, right? Shelter, clothing, and sleep. Those are considered physiological needs. And like we said, with breathing, you have to have clean air. So, any communities that aren't supporting creating ways to have clean air, to help purify air, to help decrease pollution, they're not helping the individuals that build that community, right? So if a person lives in a higher pollution area, their health is going to look very different than a person who lives in an area with clean air.
Mhm.
That's a basic need. If we don't have
Yeah,
clean air, we don't have a good quality of life. It
yeah.
had like
It
feel free
well,
to
yeah,
look
it'll
up
end
science.
to being no life.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Depending on the level, absolutely.
yeah, because if you
Like
think we can go without food for a bit, we can go without water
mhm.
for a bit. Very
Mhm.
hard. How long can we go without air? 2 to 5
Well,
minutes?
oxygen. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. So
That is
very
our
important.
number one thing for survival is air and clean
Yeah,
air.
clean air. Clean air. And then, like you were saying, food. So clean food, available food, cost effective. Like we need food that is financially feasible. Fruits and vegetables, there are places that it's food deserts. So all they have available is high processed foods. So it makes perfect sense that, people would buy the high processed foods because that's what's available. Or the calories. High
Yeah.
processed foods have way higher calories. So you can spend a little bit less to get dense calories so the person isn't hungry. But yeah, so food is important. Supporting our farmers.
And
They
regulated,
had
regulated with what they put in our food, how the
Yeah,
food's processed, like, the
mhm,
regulations on that cannot
and they're
go by the
pretty good.
wayside.
Yeah, and they're pretty good. Previously there have been pretty good regulations with it. I recommend looking into food scientists. I didn't even know that was a thing, but there are some really good food scientists out there who really talk about regulations, like the way that information has been spread about food dyes and comparing it with Europe has a lot of it has like false narratives to it, but we won't get into all of that stuff because we don't have enough time for this episode. But like food is important. Without food, we'll die. It's
Mhm.
one of those things. Water, so clean water. So having water that's accessible to people, that's having a good, water treatment facilities, like, that
Testing
sort
the
of stuff.
water.
Uh-huh. Yep. Shelter speaks for itself, like, having 4 walls and a roof over our head, it makes a difference. Like, it makes a huge difference, with being safe on top of decreased chances of, like, being in the elements, like, getting sick. So there's just huge benefits to shelter for so many different reasons. That is a basic necessity. Unfortunately, there's a huge, unhoused population, and it is very hard. They're going through very hard things, and it's horrific how much we treat housing like a luxury
Yeah,
instead
and
of a necessity.
that's what I was gonna say, the housing crisis is off the chain here,
Mhm.
and people wanna complain like the kids nowadays are just still living with their parents because they have to, because they
Mhm.
have to, houses are outrageous. I was just talking to a friend this morning of like, I wanna say 10, 15 years ago, I could have bought a house for 60,000. That's funny. That's a down payment now. You're looking at 2, 300,000. What do you expect our next generations to do with lack of housing? And if there
Yep.
is housing, so it's like we need to reel that back of like really look at why some kids, college kids, and even older are still living at home.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. I still live at home.
It's the
It's
money and the houses aren't there.
No, and they're so expensive, and then and I feel like it's one of those that, again, we treat it like a luxury or an investment. And I'm not discrediting a person, like, I know that that can be a very gray area about treating it like an investment. Like, so for, like, one person having, like, one house or a couple houses, so I don't wanna go to the extreme with it either. But, I mean, you have corporations buying so many houses, and then local people don't have access, or they'll flip them and sell them for such an exorbitant amount of money, or they'll do the, like, Airbnb stuff or whatever
That's
have
what I was gonna
you.
say, like, right there,
Yeah,
that killed
it's
it.
a huge
That
it
killed our
did.
housing market.
When we take a necessity and treat it like a luxury, or when we take a necessity, something that is needed, and exploit it for capital gain, there's
Yeah,
a problem. Right? So, yeah, shelter. So clothing, basic clothing. And of course, we know like fast fashion is detrimental to the environment, causing all sorts of problems, but clothing is a necessity. It does, clothing to protect us from the elements, all that sort of stuff. It's a necessity. Sleep.
yeah.
Sleep. I can't tell you how many people that I know who do not get enough sleep. And it is crucial. You can pass away from not getting enough sleep. And there are people who have to work 2 or 3 jobs to meet their necessities that we're going over,
Yeah.
and so they can't get sleep. And the amount of human error that occurs, human passings that occur from a person not getting sleep, they compare driving tired or driving sleepy, it's comparable to drunk driving.
Yep. And
And so many
we know what
Yeah.
that feels like. everybody has taken a road trip and you're like, "Oh, I should pull over. I only got 2 more hours." That
Yeah.
tiredness when you're driving, that is no different than drinking and driving. Now,
Yep.
what if people just walked around every day like that? That's not
Mhm.
healthy.
And for anybody who's, again, having to over because they can't they this isn't none of what we're talking about is about shaming anybody
Mhm.
or having anybody feel bad. We're just talking about the failure that our society has done, our community has done for not creating a world where people can get adequate sleep. Like creating it so people can work one job and afford basic necessities so they can get sleep. So that's where we're coming with this, not the, you know, so I did want to
Yeah.
emphasize
Yep.
that like it's bad, but also too, there are people who have to pay bills. Like they
Yeah,
have to
it's
meet
not an
payments. They've got
option.
medical expenses. Yeah, they don't got a choice.
Yeah.
So, um, not to shame anybody for that because you got to do what you got to do to
To
survive.
survive.
Totally understand. But yeah, so that's psychological physiological needs slip right there, but those are physiological needs that can affect our psychology. But
100%. Yes.
but look at all of those, how much of those rely on our community and rely on our society. Because if they don't help us get these things, it ain't going to happen. Because even just those are needs.
Yeah.
So if anybody poo poos on you for wanting to eat, to be able to afford food, that's a basic need. That is a right. That's not a luxury. That's not a privilege.
Yeah.
Right. So then you have safety and security that involves health, employment, property, family, and social ability. Health, we kind of already talked about a lot with, right? So
Yeah.
being able to afford, so that was one of the things too that they were talking about when it comes to studies like ramen, like eating ramen and I think they tied it in with like colon cancer. But when you look at it, people who are eating just ramen, it's a more cost effective food. So the likelihood of that person being able to afford, and I'm talking about like the ramen that's like, I think you can get a huge box of it for like $1, like a
Yeah.
dollar. So the chances of a person who's eating that as a staple part of their diet being able to afford to go to a doctor. So it's not about necessarily like the ramen and the medical condition. It's the fact that, there are certain foods that are a lot cheaper. And so there's going to be that relationship because the person can't afford to go to healthcare to do normal, like what should be normal diagnostic screenings.
Mhm.
And so the food didn't cause it. It's showing where they are at socioeconomically. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Employment, I mean, speaks for itself. Like people making a living wage is huge. Being able to just work one job, making a living wage to be able to afford basic needs is a necessity.
Mhm.
Property. So it was really interesting to learn about how generations back, if you have a family member who owned property, even just 4 generations ago, that it can set you up for a better life in the sense that you can take like a loan out against that property to be able to afford to go to school or like there's a whole economic thing to it. But basically property, if a person is lucky enough to have family that owned property in the past, it's part of the reason they were set up so pretty currently.
Yeah.
If they didn't have to sell off all their property or anything like that. But
Mhm.
property is huge. You're able to get loans, you're able to afford a lot of things that a person without property can't.
Yeah, 'cause it's
Right.
something
Like
something
a lien.
something that's here that has a big value.
Mhm. Yeah, because 'cause they'll look at your assets. "Oh, you have
Yes,
all this,
assets.
so I will give you this money because you have this." But if a person doesn't have any property, if they don't have any tangible assets, then they're not gonna get that loan
Yeah.
to start whatever journey in their life.
Yep.
So property makes a huge difference. And then family, obviously, if they're, blessed to have a healthy family, a safe family,
Mhm.
a chosen family. It doesn't have to be biological. A chosen family, people that they can connect with, rely on, things like that. That's a need. We all need family. Again,
Mhm.
it can be chosen family instead. So please do not subject yourself to terrible people.
Yes.
Abusive don't subject yourself to abusive people. We're talking about a chosen family, people that you can be close with, vulnerable with, can rely on, your peoples, right?
Mm.
That's crucial. We need that. That's not just, that's considered a basic need. And then social ability, social interactions are important. And even for like, everybody's social interactions are different, and everybody likes different levels of it. But like, for example, if you have a favorite book and being able to find a person who also likes that same book and being able to talk about it
Mhm.
and communicate with one another and celebrate that, or having, people, I don't know what else really. I
Just
blanked
like
on it.
anything that someone is like almost familiar with, like
Yeah.
commonalities. Like
Yes.
I'm gonna go hiking. Well, I'm probably gonna meet someone that likes to go hiking too, and we're gonna talk about hiking. Like that's that social thing of like, hey, I'm looking forward to this new friend I made that likes to go hiking. Being able to have the opportunity to do things like that, or even go
Mm.
to a movie.
True.
Yeah, simple. Even walking around the block and saying
Yes,
hi to
even
the
being able.
neighbors.
Yes. Yeah, being able, knowing how to say hi, knowing how to, knowing how to communicate. I can't tell you how many times, even at stores, social ability of being able to be like, "I hope you have a great day."
Hmm.
Like, for whoever the employees are, like, "Thank you so much. Hope you have a great day. Thank you for your help." Like, manners.
Hmm.
Like, the social ability to treat everybody with basic human decency.
Yeah, and I think that's a learned thing.
Mhm.
That's a learned thing.
Yep.
So hopefully, like in you even we're talking about businesses. Some businesses, even if people didn't have that growing up, those learned abilities given to them, some businesses actually coach them. Like
Ooh.
this is how we welcome our guests. This is
Mhm.
how we interact with them. And that's when I see a company like that, it's like a positive. I'm like, there you go. There
Yep.
you go. Thank you. Because everyone just wants to be seen and people want to be heard, but they
Yep.
want to be able to be safe, to be able to speak, to be heard, to be seen.
And you are foreshadowing two layers from now, so I like that. See?
Okay.
But that's that example of how much those can interconnect, like, how even though we're talking about them in separate segments, how interwoven they are, right? Like, the different areas. That was where was that? That was safety and security, right? Because financial safety is important too. So I'll just say that real quick, because with the employment thing, like, financial security is important. There are too many people who stay in abusive relationships because they do not have financial security. They can't afford to leave. So they stay in very dangerous situations. Like,
Mhm.
that's a problem. So these, like, employment, that's a need. To be able to make a living wage is a need. To be able to, all that safety and security, that those are all needs, not privilege.
Yeah, like that financial, being able to put food on the table,
Yes.
being
Yeah.
able to go to the doctor and get medicine when you're sick, being able to
Mhm.
pay for healthcare.
Pay that water bill.
Yeah, pay the water bill. I mean, that's just like such a given.
I mean, and I know this is like, if a person, as they're listening to this, if they're ticking off the boxes, and, however you're feeling while listening to this is valid.
Mm.
Because
Yeah.
again, these are basic needs. And so if you feel mad, it's okay. Like, it's okay if a person is mad because they're recognizing that these basic needs are not being met. Because the thing is, anger can fuel us into action.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
all good. All right. So the next layer is love and belonging, friendship, family. Again, it can be chosen family. Intimacy does not have to be sex,
Mhm.
right? We're not talking about that. You can have intimate relationships that have nothing to do with romantic or physical stuff. Intimacy is about vulnerability, right? I heard the little ching. So, which one is it?
That's Gracie.
So Gracie, thank you. Gracie was emphasizing for our community that intimacy does not have to have a romantic tie to it. It can absolutely have a romantic tie too, but it doesn't have to.
Mhm.
Intimacy is about the vulnerability, the connection. And that's another one, sense of connection. So those are part of the love and belonging. We need those. And we know that with babies. We know that with infants. If they are not touched, they will pass.
Yeah.
If they are not given enough physical contact, they pass. No, so it is important.
Like a hug does
Mhm.
a world of difference, no matter if it's someone you know or to a stranger, because they're human
Yep.
and we are
With
all
consent.
human. Yeah, that is sometimes do not be afraid to hug. That is what's needed. You may need that or the other person.
True.
Yeah, that is just a part of humanity and connectedness, and a hug can go a long way. A smile. That
A
is a
smile
form of
you're yes.
communication. That is a form of love, acknowledging that being seen of like, I see you.
Yeah,
You are
and
here. Yeah.
when and I try to smile at people, like, when I see them and just celebrate that they exist, like, I'm glad that they exist, and when you mean it, like, when you're sincere with it, it's really amazing how many people will smile back, or at first they kinda look shocked, and then they'll smile back, like, they're like, "Wait, you're smiling at me?" But you're right, like, just a smile, a hug with consent, and if a person isn't comfortable with the hug, it hasn't it may have nothing to do with you, they may have their own stuff too.
Yep.
So a smile can go a long way. A fist bump, because I know that there are people who, they learn what ways of showing affection work for each person. So
Mhm.
some people doing the fist bump, some people it's doing the smile, a tap on the shoulder, like, everybody can show affection or differently, and
Mhm.
that's cool too.
Even affection, what it made me think of like a tap, a
Mhm.
smile is you know what
Mhm.
that does? It's acknowledging the other person. And that goes back
Yes.
to like just being seen. That is one of our
Mhm.
things.
Well,
And
and that's
what you
that
were saying
connection like you were talking about.
like if we ignored those babies and we didn't even
Mhm.
touch those babies, they're not being seen. They pass. That
Mhm.
is we are no different than little babies because we are
No, we're
all
not.
that. We are all
We're
that.
big babies.
We are
We
big
are
babies.
big
Yes.
babies, and I say that as a like, I recognize that, like, when I was looking through, because if you look at the needs of an infant, it's not that different than the hierarchy of needs. I mean, there's more information in the hierarchy of needs, but it's like the list is about the same. It's just been expanded on. But if you look at basic needs of infants, touch, and so many people, like you were pointing out with hugs and things like that, so many people are touch starved.
Mhm.
And a huge portion of it is the elderly community is touch starved. I know that whenever I would take my grandma to church. And so, I mean, I hugged all of the fellow parishioners. But yeah, and they would just hug, they gave the best hugs, honestly. They just hug you so tight. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, so many people are touch starved. And again, and I think that one I'll add to that, if we are touch starved, but no one in our circle is comfortable with touch, we can find other means to get that touch too.
Mhm.
Like, so it's not their fault either. I don't want a person listening to be like, "Oh god, I gotta touch people." No, you
Yeah.
don't. Touch can be too if a person likes animals.
Yeah.
If they like cuddling with their dogs or cats, like, it doesn't have to be another person either. That a person should not put pressure on themselves to, like, give someone a hug if they're uncomfortable or be like, "Oh gosh, this person may be touch starved." Don't we're not talking about it for that either. Like,
And
yeah.
sometimes it's almost a human instinct when someone
Mhm.
is distressed. It could be a total stranger or someone seen something tragic. What's the first thing you see them do? You see a bystander come over and see someone that's breaking down and hold them. Neither one of
Mm,
them second guess that because that's that we let the ego mind not even think that is what internally we needed. And so another
mhm,
person internally seeing that that person needed to be held.
mhm.
Is that yeah. So it's
Yeah. No, I
yeah.
agree with you. It is very much an instinct. Well, and that's the thing with tragedies. I've noticed it goes one of two ways. Either with a tragedy, a person further isolates and closes off, or they reach out to their community.
Mhm.
And both can be valid depending on the environment. Because there are some people, like, looking back, or some of the people that I know that would self-isolate, I could see why.
Mhm.
Because they didn't feel safe in that space that they could reach out to their community.
Yeah.
Because they didn't feel they'd be accepted, like you were saying, or be seen.
Yeah, and I think, like, even that the very first instinct of something traumatic, tragic happening, and that
Mhm,
first moment of it happening, our first instinct is to care before we start thinking. It's the bringing person in, bringing other person in. Like, how many tragic things have you seen over the last couple decades where in an instant, in the moment it's happening, someone's embracing someone else? You
Comforting them.
know? Yeah, comforting them while it's happening. It's just
Yep.
such an instinctual thing. It's an instinctual thing, and then yeah, because I just
No, it's
had
good.
flashes in my mind of, like, I've seen that so much in the moment of
Mhm.
someone just taking that
It's a
some
basic
yeah.
need. Like, we need that. We need people that we feel comfortable that they can comfort us in those times.
Mhm.
And that goes back to that intimacy. In that moment, that person is vulnerable. Both people could be vulnerable, you know? So, yeah, absolutely. We need those places where we can feel that. I mean, that's the love and belonging, but that also ties in with feeling safe. You
Yep.
know, it's huge. And those are needs. Again, like I cannot emphasize this enough. I'm going to keep saying they're needs.
Yeah.
These are needs. This
Yep.
isn't a privilege. This isn't a, well, you know, no, this is a need. Like we need this stuff for our health and well being.
Mhm.
So then the next one was self-esteem. So confidence, achievement, respect of others, and the need to be a unique individual. So I feel like that ties in with what you were saying, being seen for who they are. And again, that's a need because how many people, because like I'm in the LGBTQIA plus community and I have loved ones in that community, and how many who are not seen and accepted for who they are, how detrimental has it been to their health and well being?
Mhm.
So, this is a need. Being seen and accepted for who you are is a need. It's not like um, it's a big deal. It's
Yeah.
really important to be seen for who you are and accepted.
Yeah, and I think that's what sometimes I'm like, I can't wrap my head around because I don't think like that. I don't think of separateness. I don't
Hmm.
think of anything less than less should be seen less than, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Any like it's so foreign and it does not compute in my vocabulary. And it's heartbreaking to see that and it happens in so many different areas. I
Hmm.
mean, even just as you and I women,
Yeah.
not you know what I mean? Like it
Well,
doesn't
and
compute of like how yeah, I'm not seen for just a human, no matter
well,
the color of my skin, my gender, anything.
Well, I think also though, it's also the unique individual. So honoring those qualities within us, because there are people who want to be celebrated for being women.
Mhm.
And that should be a celebration. And they
Mhm.
should be seen as women or cultures. Like, you know, there's this whole thing that with people in the communities, in the Black communities, people of color communities, and I'm not speaking for anybody, they were taught, but I heard that they would talk about with food that, you know, everybody wants their food, but not celebrate their cultures, right? So seeing a person for the culture that they come from, if that's what they want to like celebrating that with them.
Mhm.
So yes, seeing them as a human being and seeing their unique expression of humanity, which for them gender may be important, like celebrating their gender. It may be celebrating their culture or their community or their country that they come from, their country of origin. It could be celebrating their language, it could be celebrating whatever it is, their philosophies, their favorite hobbies that make them that they feel like embody them or they like expressing, like that they feel that celebration of, you
Mhm.
know? So yeah, seeing the humanity of them and also seeing the beauty of their unique expression of humanity.
Yeah, I agree.
Celebrate our ladies who want to like split logs and wear plaid
And that's
and still
fine.
wanna be seen as women, and
Yeah.
celebrate our men who wanna wear makeup, get their nails done, whatever have you, and still be seen as men, and celebrate people in the non-binary community and in the other community, and all the variations in between that wanna be seen in that way and also celebrated for however they express
Yeah.
their individual selves,
Yep.
so
I like
and
it.
that's a need. Yeah,
Yeah, it
it's a
is.
need. We
It's
need
a
to
need.
be seen
And
and respect. Yeah.
yeah. It's like going back to that should. It's not something that should not have to play into any of this that we're talking about. It's a need. You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
should do this to have this. Should no, we just this is a
Need.
need now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It needs to
And
happen.
I think the thing too is that we can always so like I think the nice part with, like, the unique individuals, like, tying in with the previous episode about new perspectives, like, allowing perceptions to shift. It's okay if at first you don't see all the uniqueness of an individual. Like, it's okay that it may take a moment for your brain to process what's going on, but be open-minded, allow your perception to shift because humanity is such a rich tapestry. Like, people are they really are wonderful. I know there are people who are really terrible, but how wonderful people are, how people see life, how people express life, it's just amazing. Like,
Mhm.
people's individual expressions with clothes, with even their cars or vehicles, there are things that people do really cool things to their cars. I think it's fabulous. I don't wanna do it to my car.
Yeah,
I'm not
just
that
let
fancy,
everybody do, like,
but
express.
appreciate it.
Yeah, and like,
Yeah.
"Cool, I got you. I got that. Here's what I'm
People's
gonna do with
jewelry.
mine." Yeah,
Yeah, like, but that's a need, that being able that individual expression. Funky socks or funny socks or whatever, funny ties, like, whatever, like,
it's like lack of judgment. We need to have judgment-free zone. I always go back to being and, like, seeing no different than anybody else.
yeah.
Everything is just an equal, and it should be.
Well, and
Someday I'd
also
like to see
too
it that way.
me too, and also I do wanna add too, with this need to be a unique individual, like, where whatever parts that they want to be seen and that they're telling you, "This is my identity," like, that's their identity.
Yeah.
See it, like,
And just be
embrace
like,
that.
"Cool, got it,"
Yeah,
instead of like,
yeah.
"No, no,
What? Yeah,
that's not
exactly,
right.
trying to argue with them.
No."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
stop. Like, what does it matter? What does it matter to you? You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
just like, just see people for a human. It is not that hard. It should not be that hard to see a human as a human, no matter what.
So, right? All these layers, there's so much to all of them. And again, looking at it, we can see how much community and society, how much they're failing at all these different, at least here in the United States, how much they're failing in all these different in all these different boxes, right? And then the last layer, because I'm not including the transcendence one. I know that that I had mentioned earlier that Maslow, that transcendence is the most important. But but the last layer that I'll talk about is self-actualization. So that's morality, right? Morals, creativity, spontaneity, acceptance, experience, purpose, meaning, inner potential. Who being the most one can be.
That's
That's
a
a
lot.
need.
That's like,
Right?
would you wanna say that as like a character building, individual development,
Yeah.
individualization,
Yeah,
almost in
because
a
I mean,
sense, like
yep.
finding your purpose, your passion, authenticity,
Yes.
truths, and that's just your not just, but that's like
Yeah.
results identity.
Yeah. Who am I?
I mean, that gives us our brand
Us.
as each individual human.
Well, and that goes back to the self-esteem of needing to be the unique individual and
Mm.
seen as that unique individual. But yeah, so the self-actualization, who am I? And with the creativity, I love that creativity is in this thing because arts are important. Humanities is important. Literature is important. Music is important. All of the arts are crucial. And or one of the things that I say is like science keeps us alive and arts is the reason why we live.
Yep. I agree
So we
with
need
that.
both, right? We need both, but music,
Yeah.
like, stories. I mean, art, like, thinking about those things, they connect us, like you were talking about connecting back to humanity, or
Mhm.
even opening our perceptions, opening our perspectives to different walks of life, to
Yeah.
different people in the world and their different experiences. I know that, like, there are authors that I've read that, like, reading their book just had a profound impact on me because I never thought that way.
So
I never thought
you got
about
a
life
different
that way.
way of thinking or viewing something a
Mhm.
certain way. Yeah.
Yep. And even books that I didn't like, there's some books that are read to like they were profound. I didn't enjoy them in the way that I enjoy my like nice spicy fiction books, but I enjoy
Mhm.
them because of the way they opened up my perspectives and shifted my perceptions of things and really made me question how I viewed my reality. And if they made me uncomfortable, why? Why did that book make me uncomfortable? and it
Yeah.
gives me a chance to self-reflect and get a better perspective. But those are all like everything that we've talked about, these are all needs.
Mhm.
Art is not a privilege, it's a need.
Yeah, and art creativity has been here since humans. I
No
mean,
matter
we're
yeah,
telling
exactly.
stories. That's how we didn't write. We told stories around a
Poetry.
fire. We created artwork. We created our attire that we would wear. We're always
Mhm.
creative. What can even piece of creativity is taking something from nature and how can I utilize this? What can I use this for? It's all that creativity.
And the importance of morals, like morality, treating everybody with basic human decency, tolerating everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about people who don't tolerate other like people.
Yeah.
So people who are intolerant of certain communities because they're bigots and racist and whatever have you. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about like all the other groups that are
Yeah.
not bigots, like, about tolerating each other, treating each other with basic human decency, because that's the social contract, right? That we agree to tolerate one another and our differences. Really, if we can celebrate our differences just as much as we celebrate our similarities, that would be awesome.
I know. Like
But
what defines something different?
yeah, good
Who
point.
who chose to be able to have the ability to define that something is different?
That it's not normal. I think
Yeah.
that would probably be the way that I would hear it the most. Well, that's not normal. According to who?
Yeah,
Who are
what's
we talking about?
normal? What's
Yeah,
normal? I
right.
mean,
Yeah, yeah.
literally, we shouldn't have electricity because that wasn't normal.
That's a really good point.
We should not have wooden houses because that wasn't normal. We lived in caves and we lived up in trees. So who's the
I'm so sorry. I'm losing it. I could see like, someone time traveling from way back when, how they would even time travel. We're not even getting into that. But
Yeah,
them looking at a light bulb and being like, that's not normal.
that's not normal. That's wrong.
I love
You
that.
should be walking around and having a flame and catch everything on
Right.
fire, including myself,
That's
and I
right.
may die. I don't know.
Well, would fire even be considered normal? Like, I know there were wildfires, but even that, like,
But like we
yeah,
learned back in the day, like
yeah.
when we struck rock,
But that's not normal. It shouldn't be that you strike two rocks together and get a spark. That's
Yeah.
weird.
So we were burning things. But what we did see was we seen some bright light come down and hit a tree and now fire.
Fire.
Like how do we create that?
Fire. Right. That is I love that. Yeah, looking back at it, like, what is actually normal? Because you're right, there's so many things we take for granted, but it ain't normal.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not normal. I mean,
yeah.
you can even look back right now to 30 years ago and look at men's haircuts.
Ooh,
What's
that's a good
normal?
point. Oh my gosh. So it's so interesting how the fathers who harp on their sons for their long hair, and then you look at their high school picture, buddy, and they are right
Yeah.
there. Or I've known the moms who give their daughters a hard time for the short skirts. You look at their high school picture, buddy, it is like, whew. It's like
Yeah.
they're doing a similar thing to you. Like,
Yeah.
again, being seen for unique, their unique
Yep.
individual self, how they're expressing themselves. But yeah, like, so all of that, all of those things we just listed out, and not even getting into detail with all of them, but those are all like basic, those are needs. Those aren't privileges. Those are needs. Those are needs that we all need. And that, unfortunately, for a number of us, our communities and our societies aren't supporting, but they're important. We need them to have a good quality of life and to becoming the most that we can be, reaching our potentials, right?
Mhm.
So it's one of those, I hope that shows people like you have needs and we all do, and you deserve to have those needs met. And we all do, like, those, but it's important because, yeah.
And looking at those needs, they're not extravagant.
No,
They're just
but listing them
necessities.
out, they
Yeah,
are necessities.
they're
And it's interesting
necessities.
because if you like talk about it, some people act like that's too much.
Be like, "Really? Oh, you don't wanna be seen. Okay, cool. You don't wanna be loved.
Right.
Alright. You don't wanna have healthcare. Oh, you don't wanna have clean water?" I mean, we can go on, but
Right.
yeah, it's just something we should just you would think with common sense, we would just be able to achieve that as humanity, as being humans,
Well,
to
and you would, yeah.
have the ability to be able to achieve that and not have, I don't even know what word, like, pushed down, squished down.
Yeah. not
Yeah.
shoved down. And not also that we're not gaslit into thinking we're asking for too much. And
Mhm.
that's kind of coming back to the human, like that we're not also gaslit into thinking that we're supposed to be above our needs. Like
Mhm.
these are basic human needs. We are human. We are physical bodies at this point in time. We have our souls, our spirits, whatever have you. They're, depending on the religious belief of a person and things like that. But we
Yeah.
do have physical bodies and our bodies have actual needs. And no amount of spiritual practice is going to change that.
Mhm.
And we shouldn't be convinced that we have to deny our basic needs in order to prove that we are spiritual.
Mhm.
Because unfortunately, like how many of these basic needs do certain religions or certain strict religions try to convince us that that's bad?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all that, like, so I wanted to start off with that, with it. I know that was a whole lot. These other two parts are going to be like short in comparison. I just really felt like it's important to emphasize that we all have needs. These needs are important and we deserve to have these needs met, and that you deserve to have your needs met before getting into this part, because then the next part of it is, or is there any like, or any comments you'd like to make about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs or anything before I shift?
I something that popped in my head, just being born, we should have been granted those,
Mhm.
right?
Yep, yep,
Instead of continuously grasping,
yeah,
continuously trying to get there, to
yep.
get those needs. Yeah.
Because we already did so much work trying to be born. Go
I
listen to
know.
episode 2 about being
Yeah,
miraculous.
I know. Look at all that work. Woof da.
We did
Boy,
all that swimming,
yep. That was crazy.
all that building those cells, like
The build
multiplying and being born. We did a lot of work just to be
and
born
then just
in
like
our communities.
came out in here and like a very traumatic experience.
Mhm.
It was traumatic to come here,
Yeah.
going from being cocooned in to like, here you are, good luck.
The
You know?
ultimate warm, nice float tank to
Yep. And felt safe and secure. And you would feel that we would be coming to a safe and secure world on the outside.
No,
Well,
that's good. Do what?
I know, I just like, oh, I made it sad.
No, you
Like it was all
didn't.
safe and secure. And then we got shot out here.
Well, and I think it gives us the opportunity to create safe and secure places. I really feel, and that's where the whole, that within me, that balance of, I do feel like a lot of people are good. And I still recognize too the crap in the world too. I do think life is miraculous, obviously, right? I get really
Yeah.
excited about talking about how miraculous life is. I love communities, like the concept of communities. I love healthy communities. Those are amazing. How people can come together and support each other. Like, I just went and watched, last night was the 50th anniversary of Jack Tales. And so it's a bunch, like, plays telling this a bunch of different stories, and you're having to use your imagination. The cast was phenomenal. And it was a lot of nostalgia because they used to come to elementary schools when I was growing up, and that was one of my favorite things to do, was watch them.
That's
And
cool.
so you have this group of people coming together to create this. So how many theater productions, how many movies, plays, musicals, improv, performances from bands, orchestras, like the list goes on and on and on, of people coming together to create something, and it is so beautiful. And like, I was in marching band. We were teenagers, we were hot messes, and we still came together
Yeah.
and created such beautiful things, such fun things, but just how we can be fixedly human in a group and make something phenomenal or have
Yes.
phenomenal experiences with it. But I think it is too important to look again at other communities and be like, oh,
Yeah.
if it feels sad, there's a reason for it. If it feels angering, there's a reason for it. If it feels uncomfortable, there's a reason for it. And it's important for us to look at that, because when we identify those things, when we identify basic needs and we identify what's being fulfilled or not being fulfilled, it can help us figure out what things within our control we can do. And that may be and I know for me, like, and I've done a lot of self-work, right? I have spent 9 years really focusing on self-work, and I would still try to come back to community, but a lot of it was more individualistic, so I don't wanna be like, "I've always been this way." Like, it's always been a back and forth, like, the individual, the community, the individual, the community. But now I'm in a space where I can fully embrace, and I am fully embracing, how am I helping or not helping my community, and really looking at myself with it. And of course, I can't change everything or for
Yeah.
like the rest of the world, but it's like, how do I want to show up in my community? How do I
Mhm.
want to show up in my society, right? And this is
Yeah.
one of my ways that I want to show up, is that I want people to recognize that they are miraculous. To me,
Mhm.
that's amazing. I want people to recognize that they do have needs. It's okay for people to say that they have needs and embrace the fact that they have needs. And it's okay to look at what we have and be like, that's not enough. The way things are currently, that's not enough. And that's not fulfilling me. That balance.
Yeah, it does. It makes total sense.
See the beauty and see the crap.
Yes.
So we did all that. You have needs. You deserve to have needs. You got to live and you deserve to have your needs met. Boom. Right. So something that, to go from there, I'd like to share some tricks and techniques that I've utilized to kind of help me, because there are some needs that I can meet, right?
Mhm.
Not the whole thing of it, but like me, I'm lucky enough I can go to the grocery store and
Right.
get my fruits and vegetables. I can cook my meals. Here it didn't really say it, but I do think, or I guess that ties in with health, movement. To whatever capacity a person can move around, move their bodies around, not necessarily exercise, but movement makes a huge difference.
Mhm.
Looking at shelter, that can be like doing chores, taking care of ourselves, taking care of those physiological needs. And so, a trick that has helped me with doing things that I didn't want to do or didn't feel like I had the energy to do was to treat my past self and my future self as separate people. And I didn't come up with this. I can't remember where I read this from, and I am so
Mhm.
sorry to whoever came up with this. But what I mean is that I'm more inclined to do stuff if I think it's going to help someone else.
Mhm.
And so what I'll do is say, going to the food thing. It's like, well, I really don't want to go to the grocery store. I'm really tired. I'm not motivated. Yeah, okay. If I go to the grocery store today, that would help out future me.
Mhm.
That would help out future Cheston. If I go ahead, I do actually have the time. And the way the rest of my week is going to go, it is going to be even busier than right now. So it would really help future me if I go ahead and do this thing. And I've noticed that helps
Yeah.
motivate me to do the damn thing. And what I'll do is, the next day, let's say, I'll reflect back on me making that decision and I will say, thank you, past me, for going to the grocery store, even though I didn't feel like it or I
Yeah.
didn't have like the energy, because it really did help me out. Or
It's a good way
when I
to
was going,
approach it.
yeah, yeah. I've noticed washing dishes, it's like, yeah, I really don't feel like it right now, but you
Mhm.
know what? Future me's got a lot of stuff she's gotta do. Let me go ahead and look out for future me. So, like, being a community for myself too. I don't
Yeah.
think one person should be their only community, but just building that rapport with myself, treating
Mhm.
myself the way I deserve to be treated, right? So, like, hey, I'm gonna look out for future me and go ahead and do the dishes. And again, I'll reflect back maybe that evening as I walk by the clean sink
And, like, you
or the
appreciate
yep,
past you for what you set your future up for
correct.
success in that
And it's
aspect.
kind of, yeah, and it's kind of funny because 'cause I'll do like, "Thank you, past me," and then I'll imagine past me being like, "You're welcome, future me."
Be like, "You're welcome," and throw the towel down.
Right? It's
You're
like,
welcome.
"I'm so glad you're appreciating this. Thank you." Because and that's the thing too, it gives us the opportunity to appreciate ourselves. Gives us the opportunity to acknowledge all the different ways that we're helping ourselves
Mhm.
achieve these basic needs, these things
Yeah.
we just gotta do, right? But that's what I've noticed is for the future self, like for me in this current moment, looking out for future self, right? And then when it comes to like self work, I try my best to honor my past self and have compassion for the actions I did or did not take. So when I have an epiphany about my perception of life, of whatever it looks like, and how that perception I had of life, how much it negatively impacted me, or maybe I made decisions that were harmful towards me, I will look back at that past self and honor and have compassion for that version of me and the choices that I did make during that time. And that permission that at the end of the day, I'm an imperfect person. I'm going to get a lot of things wrong in life. I've gotten a lot of things wrong. I'll continue to get a lot of things wrong. And so honoring the fact that I'm an imperfect person and past me, that was that expression of imperfection. And I got to learn all these different things. Here are the ways that I've grown, I've changed. Here are the ways that I've tried to improve my life or be kinder to others. There's definitely I've had to do a lot of education about people and loving all different types of people in all the different ways that they express themselves,
Mhm.
right? And calling myself out on that stuff. And also having compassion for that past me that was more closed-minded and being like, it wasn't great, but you learned a lot
Yeah.
and you've grown a lot. And even you somehow started making those changes. Like, even then, I realized that it wasn't right and make those changes to not be like that.
It's like you
Um,
acknowledged them that they weren't right. Took the initiative.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, yeah, exactly. Like acknowledging that. So it's kind of like present me, my goal for future me is to like set up future me for certain things to be a little bit easier and to have gratitude and compassion for past me. Cause I got that 2020 vision now. I can look back and be like, oh, but I didn't have that before.
Yeah.
I didn't know where the lions were before.
Like, "Whoa."
Right? Now I've got a leopard in front of me. It's like, "Well, crap." Well, yeah, now I know. Okay,
Mhm.
that was not a lion track, that was a leopard.
Yep.
Okay, lesson learned. Of course, I can look back and be like, "Oh my gosh, I was so dumb for going
Yeah.
of course it was a leopard track." Well, yeah, no crap, I learned. Thank you. Thank you for realizing. Didn't know what I didn't know before, right? And I will add to that, there have been times where my current moment, there was too much going on, like present me, right? There
Mhm.
was way too much stuff going on. I couldn't do anything else. And I would just be like, you know what? I'm sorry, future me. I can't do crap. You're going to have to take over this one.
Yeah.
And in future, like, so, the next day or couple days later, I'll reflect back and be like, you know what? It's all good. I got it today. I'm glad you
Yeah.
got rest.
Yeah. Sometimes we need that downtime to heal, to
Yes.
rest, just to
Yep.
go.
Do it I noticed that me doing that, it really helped me look at other relationships, and I'm very lucky. I have a lot of wonderful people in my life
Mhm.
who are wonderful, who would like, I have friends who would be like, "Yeah, totally, you should rest. Like, what are you doing? I'm glad you got rest."
Yep.
And I get to be that for them, right? But it's practicing that stuff, right? It's saying those things out loud, like, "Yeah, I'm glad that you rested instead of did more work." And so it helped retrain my brain that I don't always have to be on the go, 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 go. There are times where I can put stuff off. Future me has got it, and future me is glad that I took a moment to rest. And it gives me modeling for the types of relationships that I want and the types of relationships I deserve. Because how wonderful is it if you have friendships, loved ones, your chosen family, that you can look at the person and be like, I just don't got it in me today. And that they're like, you know what? It's all good. Go
Yep.
rest. I will take care of it.
They're like, "I
You
got
know?
this."
Exactly. And so I really feel like for especially by us really treating ourselves as a good friend, the type of friend that we would want, or the type of friend that we deserve, or whatever, it ends up positively impacting our relationships with other people too. And it helps us, I feel like it helps us further attract or further go towards those relationships that are similar to that.
Mhm.
And I'll say for
So
people who aren't like, oh no, well, so I will say with it too that for anybody who's like, I don't know about it, I'm like, when I say what really got me to try that out was I was honest with myself of okay, I spent this many decades being hard on myself, and how do I feel about that? It's like I don't feel like I was more productive. I was just an ass to myself. I didn't feel better.
tried that. That didn't work.
So let me try this instead. And it's like I feel better about myself. I like myself. I get along with myself. And
You feel more
I feel
lively,
I
like
do feel more
alive.
lively. And I feel like I can be more vulnerable.
Mhm.
And I feel like yeah, that I can be more vulnerable, like, and that I'm recognizing more the things that I do and don't do. Like, I don't feel like I gave myself enough credit to how much I was doing in a week. But
Mhm.
when I'm consciously like, "Oh, I actually have a lot of stuff going on coming up, so let me do this now." It's like giving myself more credit for that.
That makes sense. So then you're viewing it as like you're not always push, 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 push.
Mhm.
You already know. So it's
Mhm.
just like taking that time now. I'm gonna do this for the future self, or I'm gonna take a break because I got stuff going on. It's just almost like reconnecting, not reconnecting, seeing
Yeah.
yourself. Seeing
No, you're
yourself.
absolutely
Yeah.
right. Reconnecting. No, you are absolutely 100% right. Reconnecting with yourself. I really do feel like it helped me reconnect with myself more and my intuition,
Yeah.
right? So connecting more with my intuition, connecting more and there are days I do not have it. Like there are weeks that it's just like all up in the air with it, right?
Mhm.
I mean, again, imperfect human at the end of the day, but it's just it for me, it definitely made my life better, and it made me more motivated to do stuff because I was looking out for myself, and I'm actively looking out for myself and actively being compassionate with myself, and I really feel like that's important.
Yeah. It's huge. Like having compassion for yourself and grace.
Yes, and it's one of the small things that's within our control. There is a lot of life I cannot control. Most of life is outside of my control. But how I speak to myself, how I look out for myself in whatever small scope I can,
Mhm.
like that's enough, right?
Yeah.
And that's me, again, looking out for myself. And how much does that improve our relationship with ourselves? And
Like it.
piggybacking off of that is the second thing that I do is embracing good enough, and that was episode 3, good
Mhm.
enough, right? Or enough, like being enough as
You
people.
are enough. Yeah. Yep.
You are enough. And so it's about the things that we do, our tasks. This task is good enough. So
Yep.
going back to washing the dishes, right? So maybe I have a sink full of dishes and again, I do not feel like doing it and I'm really not motivated. And so I'll be like, "Okay, well how about I wash just one dish? That'll be good enough." And so I'll wash the one dish. And there most of the time, I would say 9 times out of 10, I'll end up washing all the dishes.
Mhm.
But my only goal was to wash the one. And
Yep.
again, I didn't come up with this. Like, I saw this somewhere, I saw a video, read a post, and this was years ago. So, I didn't realize
Yeah.
that I'd be hosting a podcast with you,
And
so I
talking
didn't think
about it
to
now. Yeah.
so I didn't think to write down, like, where I learned it from. Darn.
Yep.
And most of the information, like, this is, like I heard it a long time ago, someone was brilliant, and I didn't know I'd be here one day talking
Mhm.
about it to other people, so it's like, "Well, darn, sorry."
Well, it was impactful enough for you to bring it up years later because it's
Yes.
such
Oh, it
a
changed
big
my
part of your
life.
life.
Yeah, and so now there are times where it's like, if I just wash my coffee cup, and there are
Mhm.
times that I only wash the one thing. So it's not 100% always the whole thing, right? But organizing, right? So it was a loved one that and I have to, like, struggle with organizing too, but they were trying to organize, and at first they were like, "I'm gonna organize, like, all the dressers." And I'm like, "That's a lot to put on yourself. How about we make a goal of just one drawer?" And so they organized the one drawer, and they were like, "You know what? I feel so good. I wanna organize another drawer." And I'm like, "Okay." They ended up organizing the entire one dresser and one drawer of the other dresser, and they felt good about it because their
Mhm.
only goal was the one
Yeah.
drawer.
It's like not overdoing it, not
Yeah.
having high expectations.
Yes,
Too high, I
because
should say, too high.
because they didn't complete both dressers. So if they had tried to stick to that original goal of the 2 dressers, they would have felt like a failure
Mhm.
or
Yep.
because I know this person's disposition, that's the only reason I say that. They would have felt bad about it versus because they made a smaller goal, they were able to continue with it.
And
And
that was
then
ended
also
up being a positive instead of
yes.
not feeling
Yeah.
doing both of them is like, "Well, I only."
Yes. I just and I
Yeah.
do that. I'm totally guilty. I'll still use that phrasing like, "Oh, I only did that."
Yeah.
Uh.
We don't give ourselves enough credit for the things we actually do.
No, we
Yeah.
don't.
Yep.
We don't. And again, this can look like good enough for anything. It could be sending one meme to one friend. That's
Yep.
socializing.
Yep.
Good enough.
Good enough. Yeah.
Good enough. And I really feel like embracing that concept, movement. So if a person's trying to move around more, if they just bring their arms overhead for a moment and just
Mhm.
kind of give a nice stretch, congratulations, you moved. Good enough. Don't want
Yeah.
to do that? Like you can just gently turn your head from one side to the other. Good enough. Don't want to do
Mhm.
that? You can like make a nice smile and then relax. You
Yep.
moved your facial muscles. Good enough. Breathing. Just breathe, like taking a deep breath in and out. You moved. Good enough. It does not have to be perfect, right? It does not have to be a certain setting. If you are standing in front of the microwave, waiting for your meal to cook, doing like 1 or 2 arm circles, good enough. You moved. It
It's
does
just do
not,
yeah.
yeah, 2 steps in march and like 2 steps in place, like a little march in place, just boop, boop, done. Good
Yep.
enough. Eating, like we were talking about, like hot, like with processed foods. And I mean, I love potato chips. I'm just going to throw it out there. And I definitely eat TV dinners because they are convenient. But I also try to throw in, like, every now and then I'll get an apple. I'll eat a couple and I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, be like, "Oh, that's good enough."
Yeah, good enough. Fruits, I'm really like that. Like, sometimes I'll get, like, frozen fruits, and
Mhm.
so I like frozen foods better because that way they don't spoil,
Yeah.
but frozen fruit, I'll take a little bit, let it melt to like, warm up to room temperature, eat that, good enough. Even if I had, like, processed foods or whatever during the day, that's good enough. Like, I add for fiber, I add, like, chickpeas, black beans, whatever, to, like, a soup. Good
Yep.
enough.
Yep. Yeah, because we don't have to go extreme or overboard. It's just actually
Yep.
putting the intention into it. It doesn't matter,
Mhm.
doesn't matter.
This is my capacity today. This is what I can do.
Yep.
And it's one of those, I feel like with acknowledging good enough, we have to acknowledge that perfection does not exist. There is no such thing. Doesn't
Mhm.
exist. So let's just be okay with that.
Yeah. Because
So
who
let's just
defines perfect? You can say you're a
exactly.
perfectionist to yourself or to who?
Yeah, according
Because
to you.
what everyone's definition is gonna be different of perfect, and then do you precisely do it perfect every time? Or whatever it is,
Mhm.
so
Yep.
it's an
Yep.
easy word to let latch into us. I need to be perfect, or I'm a perfectionist.
Yep.
We let that latch in.
Well, sometimes we observe
Mhm.
family and them being perfectionists, and so we internalize it, even if they're not doing it to us, even if
Yeah.
they've never given us a hard time, but we watch them be so self-critical that we internalize that. There are people who are critical of them since they were itty bitty, so they learn or they have this perception that if I'm perfect, I'll be safe or nothing will happen. So it's totally understandable why it can come about. It's that those people were bullying. Like they were bullies, whether they were bullying themselves and we observed them and learned how to bully ourselves that same way, whether they were actively bullying the person, being like, well, this isn't good enough, da, 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 and just being an ass.
Mhm.
Like, and it goes back to that self-talk like we were talking about before, like, with certain things, is it really going to help us or are we just being mean to ourselves? Like, or are we just trying to, which granted, with some people, it's they're trying to be safe,
Mhm.
right?
But
So it's
that
like,
was
if
their
I'm perfect, I'll be safe.
Yep, that's their developed
Protection.
safe. Yeah,
Yep.
how they seen it, like what you're saying. They grew up like, "Oh, that equates to safe, right? That's what
Yep.
I need to do."
Yeah. So I don't want to just discount those experiences, right?
Yeah.
Because their needs weren't met.
Yeah.
Because their circle of needs was not met. And their parents apparently circles of needs were not met. So I tied it back in there
There you go.
haphazardly, but it's good enough.
That was perfect. Perfect.
Perfectly imperfect.
Yes. Perfectly imperfect.
That's right. And I do feel like, or for myself, I can only speak for myself. I did notice that the more I embraced those things, like the good enough, the past self, the future self, like all those different things, and improved all of that for myself, it did improve my other relationships too. Because I didn't realize how I wasn't doing it externally, but I didn't realize how much internally I was critiquing things. And
And you
that's still
subconsciously carry that.
uh-huh.
Yep.
So I was still critiquing like however the thing was unfolding.
Yep.
Wasn't their fault how it unfolded, or even if it was, it's just how it unfolded. Again, they're just as imperfect as I am. I'm imperfect too. If I'm going to give myself grace, I got to give others grace. So it was really interesting how much it changed for me and improved my relationships with people and even my relationships with my communities
Yeah.
and how I view my communities and things like that. So again, that may not be for everybody, but that was something that I noticed for myself. So,
That's fabulous.
right? So that is all I got. It
That's all
was
you
quite
got.
a bit. I know, right? That's all.
Just a
Just
little.
those points. Just a
Just a
little.
smidge of stuff.
Just a smidge of stuff. Just a nice circle and time travel
Yep.
for future and past. It's good enough.
That is.
Anything you would like to add for any of it or
No, I think, like, right there, you circled it back. Like, it was all perfect. It's perfectly said that we take on some of those own needs in certain areas to what we need at that time. And it doesn't have to look this whole glamorous thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's I don't wanna say the value we put on it. Would it be the value put on,
Oh,
value, small to big? Who says washing that 1 cup was small?
true.
That 1 cup was huge.
Well, and definitely there are some people due to whatever reason, they only have so much energy and so much capacity. Like the spoon thought
Mhm.
with it, talking about so many people only have so many spoons in a day, and some people only have 1 or 2 spoons while other people have 20. And so, yeah, absolutely. Whatever you accomplish is good enough.
Yep,
Like, giving ourselves more credit.
yep. Because 'Cause we're miraculous
We are miraculous. We are enough
just as we are.
just as we are.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank y'all for tuning in to Sacred Access, space for the whimsically divine.